flawless every time. This is Digital Charcuterie Super Tuesday, talking all superhero needs and wants and whatever else. Let's get that out of here. I'm freezing up like crazy. Slow internet today. Not as slow as like, wait, no, that's an insult. Slower than my guess. We got Rob Darth Ward McDonald to my wherever side that is. Rob, what's up?
Good to be here. I always like jazzing out that music. It's fun. It's my chance to dance when I never do. Yeah,
that's why we do it, for the dancing. And next to him, as always, Scotty Hawkish on YouTube. He's going live at 9:30 tonight. Get over to his channel when you're done here. Hit him up with subscribe. Hey, yeah. Scotty, what's up?
Maybe sooner, depending on how the conversation goes. I'm excited about getting into some spoilery stuff because usually I'm in the know, but tonight I will be getting educated. And I know all about the technical difficulties. I'm literally streaming from the Outer Rim, so totally understandable.
Might be a rough night for me today. If I go south, you guys carry this. Rob, you're going to be able to carry it because you have seen the Joker 2, Folie, Deux. You saw it in the theater. And look, we're going to talk about it in a little bit. We're going to start with Penguin, then we're going to go into Joker and all that. But look, this movie, I was looking forward to it. When I saw the first one, I wasn't like, you know what, this needs a sequel. But then I was really like, oh man, doing a sequel. And then when it was announced as a musical, at first I was taken back, and then I was like, all right, let's go with it because, and we'll get to this later, Rob. So hold it, pen this thought. I might forget it too, or pencil this thought, whatever. I was like, you know what? That might keep this fresh and new because how much more can you see of this character without it getting redundant? So I don't know how it goes. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. So we are talking Joker spoilers, but first we're going to start with Penguin. Oh yeah, Scotty, you got something.
Oh, and before we do get into the spoilers, two opinions I heard just from like the general public before this movie came out was one, it's just going to be a musical, and two, I think from more in the know is that a majority of it happens within the courtroom, and it's like a pretty contained story within the courtroom. So that kind of scared me a little bit, but like not seeing as much of Gotham and Willery, right. So
I heard that Penguin. Gotham. Anyway, we're going to talk spoilers for Penguin episode 2 and Joker. Penguin episode 2, I did a review on the channel. Look, Todd Phillips, when he first pitched the Joker, apparently someone came out. I listened to his interview a few years ago on the Directors Guild podcast. If you haven't checked it out, check that out. It's phenomenal. The whole podcast, not just him. And he talked about how someone came up to him after the Hangover movies and they said, you have carte blanche at Warner Brothers. You just made them $1 billion. You can do whatever you want. And he went and he pitched the DC Dark was his idea. It was a whole like chain. It was going to be a whole like run of. Oh, sorry, we got chats on fire right now. Rob's an Emmy winner. Emmy winner Rob is going live right now. But Todd Phillips, he pitched. That's from Limelight Co. Check out their candles. Todd Phillips pitched the DC Dark, and he wanted to do the origin stories of all of these DC villains, starting with the Joker. And they said, get out of our office. That's too much. You can do one. So we did Joker. And we're going into Penguin. The reason why I bring that up is because for me, the two that are perfect are Joker and I think Penguin, not so much maybe the one that we're getting on this show, but a variation of Penguin, maybe his rise to like a political thriller movie about Penguin would be pretty wicked. And so that's why we're going into Penguin 2 now before Joker. I love this show. It is a slow burn. Just like the Batman movie, though, you've got to sit and you actually have to watch and pay attention to it. But I'm saying Sophia Falcone is becoming, I think, is being primed to become one of TV's best villains. Rob, let's start with you. Penguin, episode 2, initial thoughts.
Sure. So before I get into episode 2, I just want to touch on episode 1 because I didn't really get to talk about it a little bit. In general, I loved episode 1. It was fantastic, and yeah, it was really the homecoming for Sophia Falcone and I forgot the actress's name now for a second.
Christine Milioti.
Kristen Milioti. Yeah, exactly. And it's was such a great episode for her in general, just as a great homecoming. And then you got the second episode, which goes even further into it and gives you a lot more of the backstory and things like that. So far, she's kind of been the MVP of the show for me personally. Penguin's been awesome, and this episode really brought it up a notch too. I really liked it.
Scotty?
Yeah, she's terrifying. And when she's talking to like her good friend, and her friend at the wake was like, oh my God, we should have a girls' weekend. As soon as she said girls' weekend, I could see the gears in her head just start to turn like, do you know who I am and like what I'm about and stuff? Like I don't know. I feel like her, basically scaring the shit out of her, talking to her daughter was like her separating herself between like, you're just a sheep. You know what I mean? You're a civilian. I am not you. Don't invite me places. Don't come around here anymore. Like this, you don't want any part of this life. I was scared for her.
Yeah, I think she's doing a really good job portraying both sides of the evil coin, like innocent
Absolutely.
victim, and then I'm gonna rip your head off. I love so Theo Rossi's playing the psychiatrist, whatever his name is. People are speculating. I did in the videos, Scarecrow. I'm looking for Mad Hatter. Every time a character comes on screen, I'm like, Mad Hatter, Mad Hatter, Mad Hatter.
You know what else he's in, right?
He's in Army of the Dead.
Well, yeah, Sons of Anarchy too. He plays
Sons of Anarchy. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Don't forget Luke Cage.
He's a great actor, though. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
So this character is having a longer. There's going to be more to this character going forward, and the way he kind of holds her in his arms, the creepiest face I swear you can make is the one that he's making in that moment. There's more to this character, whether he pans out to be Scarecrow, Mad Hatter, or whoever. Like, it might just be who he is. But there is something more to this character because he's also in, like, when they're doing the light therapy, he's the doctor or at the cell of Arkham who lets her in or out of the cell to see her brother. So he's in her mind. And I am like, yeah, there's something more to that character, whether it's a character from the comics or just an original character for the show. I think he's going down a deep
Hugo Strange.
Hugo
Strange, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think though? Like, sorry, Rob, you bring that up, but like, go with your thought. But also, what if they like changing the name? Do you think that's a cheap move?
Changing
Hugo Strange's name to Julian Rush or whatever. Yeah, like to hide the surprise, they change his name, and like they did it with what's his name? Rod Dick. What was his name in WandaVision?
Oh yeah.
Show got it. It was cheap. Yeah. It was like it's a cheap and
Boner, something Boner.
Yeah, Ralph Boner.
Oh yeah,
Ralph Boner. Does it cheapen it though? Is what I'm asking.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of speculation going about who Victor's going to turn out to be, right? Like 2 weeks ago when we chatted, we were talking about Victor Zsasz a little bit. A lot of people seem to think that he's going to become Victor Zsasz. And
I think honestly, he's just Jason Todd. Like he's the Penguins version of Jason Todd. That's literally all I'm thinking. But yeah, so go on.
Same origin story for sure.
Exactly.
And yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, I think it's something people would be open to in general, like, especially if it was just, that's his legal name, Hugo Strange, and he brings it back at some point. Like this whole edge with this whole part with Theo Rossi is just the interesting part because you get Sophia Falcone in that first episode, and she's straight up scary, just like you said, Scotty. She's terrifying. She's in scenes with other people, completely terrifying. But the second episode, you get the tortured nature of the character, right? When she's waking up and she's just clawing at her neck, right? Like leaving those scars on there, right? And Theo Rossi's character could very well be a big part of the reason why she's tortured. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see where this story goes with him because, yeah, she's becoming a very fascinating character from all sides.
We haven't noticed her taking any medication, but I'm going to assume this is some kind of what am I trying to say? Tranquilizer or some kind of like her mind is being suppressed somehow. And this is like her mind trying to like open itself back up to her true nature, maybe like that really dark side of herself that this guy might be trying to also help her suppress. But I'll be interested to see how far it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they got her being the hangman out of the way right away. Like second episode, she's in the car, and they like I think was it early on or halfway, whenever it was, and they got it. They're not going to dwell on it. Like this is who she was, and I love that you can see that aspect of her is still is still there, waiting to come out, just waiting to explode out of her. And I'm
Mhm.
really curious where they're going to take this. And I was thinking like, because this show is obviously going to lead into the Batman 2. So and they say that you don't need to watch this show to understand the Batman 2, which I think is smart because there's a lot of that superhero fatigue, if you will, where people think they have to do their homework to watch something. So I think it's going to be 2 more years till we get the Batman 2. So really, you have 2 years to watch 8 episodes of a TV show. I think you can handle it. But that being said, I was like, I don't think any of these side characters, are going to make their way into the movie. I think she might go by the end of it, but I'm also thinking they could easily transition her into the Batman 2 without you needing to watch this show, because she's just the daughter of Carmine. Like that's all you have to say in the movie for people to understand. And you're already like, oh, she's warped because of that. Like you already kind of have that idea. This can just flesh her out more for the people who pay attention to it. So I don't know, where do you guys stand on her being having a role in the Batman 2? Because I think her and Catwoman could have a pretty good dynamic as well.
I think I'm just more interested to see like how a character like Sophia Falcone would handle this Batman. I think I'd like how that dynamic would work and what she would do if she's in a situation with Batman in general. That's the interesting part, because I mean, this second episode, I guess she was essentially manipulated by Penguin, but that's completely different when she's in a room with Batman, and he could do that to her too. But at the same time, I want to see what she's gonna bring to the table if she's face to face with the Bat. That'd be the interesting part. And I think that's my number one reason for wanting to see her in the Batman 2. That'd be the number one reason. But in general, it's like, if her story ends at the end of this, I also won't be upset at that, because do what's best for the story and we'll do what's best for the show, right? So that's my number one takeaway there.
If my theory is correct, and I hope it is, this is my big theory. I'm not letting the writers of these TV shows try to like pull one over on me anymore. I think that every line, because there's such limited time to tell these stories, is intentional. So when Oz is talking to his girlfriend about where they're gonna be this time next year, or even this time like a couple months from now, and I got a plan, and you don't have to worry about anything, I think he has a plan. I think she's another stepping stone. I think he's taking everybody out. And I think like they're setting him up, or he's setting her up for it to be a very personal thing too. Like he's trying to befriend her. He's trying to kind of sometimes make people feel bad for him. The monologue in this one, again, another killer monologue. I hope he has one in every single episode. Mm-hmm. But this one specifically was like a feel bad for me kind of thing. And like, she's 100% going to kill his mom. Like he's already lied about mom a couple times, and now he's like told her that she's dead, and I think that's an opportunity now for him to slip up.
I think one thing with this show, no, we're a podcast or a live show. We gotta, the more talking, the better. Dead air is terrible. Look, they've made Penguin in this series to be, he's very smart. He's manipulative.
I think so.
He's but he's also a brute force. He is power, and he can outthink you, and he can out harm you at the same time. And they're building him up that way. And his weakness is his mom. Maybe also 100%. Victor. Maybe Victor will also become that. But his mom is also, I think you're right. I think his mom's gone by the end of this for sure. I don't even know how long she'll make it through it. Mm-hmm. But I do think Victor's playing the Jason Todd, and he's gonna get offed.
I mean, listen, there's one thing you do not do in any of these crime movies, Departed, anything that's within this genre. You do not wish that upon your mom without that happening. Like he said it, he has brought it into fruition now. It's 100% going to happen in my mind.
Yeah. Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
Rob, anything?
Dummy.
I think it's very clear that, he's got her seemingly trust so early into it, right? This thing's 8 episodes long. By the end of episode 2, he seemingly has her trust. We got 6 episodes to go. She's going to start figuring things out. And look how quickly she figured that whole thing out in the first episode with his car was being, done the night of Alberto's thing. So it's not going to take her long to find out about her mother. And yeah, I think you guys are probably right that she's going to be a goner and it's going to be at the hands of Sophia.
Yeah, she's smart too. Like they've crafted a Sophia Falcone that is, she's a wild card because she has the upper hand, but also is she, because at the end of this episode when they join forces, do they? Because we know where Penguin lies, like he's using her, but is she using him? We don't know. We only really see his perspective, right? We don't get her point of view on that, Scotty.
I think him framing her other best man is your point. Like he now has her trust because her other most trusted is out of the picture. And to further the point how smart this dude is, he picked a fight with the guy he already has on the hook because he's got the pictures. And when that was I thought he was planting the knife on him at first. And then when the knife came up on the other guy, I was like, oh, because he already has the other guy where he wants him. So like now he can blackmail this guy still and took another dude out of the picture. He is systematically like eliminating everybody. He's got a plan through and through, in my opinion.
But again, like you're saying, you have to pay attention to the show. It's just not. It's not a Netflix movie with Jennifer Lopez. You can't be folding laundry while you watch it. You got to be paying attention to it. It's slow and methodical, just like the Penguin and his lip. Yeah. I gotta say, Colin Farrell, man. He's like, I keep forgetting that it's Colin Farrell halfway. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I think this episode, there was a word that slipped and I heard a little Irish bullseye in him. But for the most part, but like every time I'm like, because I said this last week, Scotty, like his eyes don't even look like Colin Farrell eyes. Usually when you have makeup on, you see the eyes. You're like, well, there's the actor. I don't know who the hell that is.
He's got this permanent like frown almost or like scowl.
Yeah. And they do like the little like indents in his face. It just looks so like it's so good, and you just get lost in the character. And it's not distracting. So yeah, the accent is so good, crushing it.
Yeah.
When I rewatched the first episode, I couldn't help but think, and I'm sure the clip exists somewhere. I haven't actually searched it out, but I'd love to see a clip of Colin Farrell just doing the performance without anything on. I want to see the way he looks when he's acting as Penguin with none of the prosthetics on, because that's when I want to see, like, it's like, wow, like these two are one and the same, but they look nothing alike.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. I don't know if I haven't seen a clip of that either. I know that they have the whole movie of Planet of the Apes where you can watch a movie without the apes being apes. They're just actors in tights, but we can't get Colin Farrell doing a little bit of his voice without the costume on, which, I mean, it's not digital, but yeah, he's phenomenal. Like this episode was mostly about, I think, gearing up the relationship between Sophia and Penguin, kind of having this episode end in a spot where now they are a team. They are the Falcone family, or they are the head of the Falcone family. He's positioned. But what's going on with him and the Maroney family? That's the key here, because and this time Maroney even said, like, hey, I can just call them up and say, you gave me, like, you're the one who did this. And so Penguin's like, this is the part of the show where I really hope they know what they're doing, because if they botch this up, this could be a make or break for the show for me. No, probably not. But who knows? Like, if they go cheap with this, if they pussy out, if you will, I will be upset, because they positioned these two families in a spot with Penguin in the middle, and I don't know what his play is. Rob, what is his play?
Well, I think in general, just that part of the show is like one of the most interesting parts to me, aside from, Sophia, which we've already talked about. Like, it's really showing you the relationship between Penguin and the Maroney and family specifically. It's really showing you that what Penguin is trying to do is not easy at all. Like in this episode, you literally had a situation where he was 2 seconds away from being stabbed to death, basically. Had he not had those pictures with him, he probably would have been dead. Like his whole plan would have been done, and that would have been it, right? Because they're like, what do we need you for? One of our men got captured, and it's all on you, right? It's your fault. So it's really showing you how difficult this whole thing is to pull off for him, not make it seem easy in some ways, because that's what a lot of TV shows or movies can do sometimes, right? Like, you got John Wick that basically takes out, 150 people a movie, and he makes it look easy almost, right? This this whole plan of his does not look easy whatsoever. It's really needs to be methodically thought out. And, you know, if you slip up any single way, you could very well be dead. And that's kind of the brilliant part about the show, I think, so far, at least when it comes to his machinations of everything.
Scott, anything?
Yeah, I had to look up who the woman that he was talking to on the outside is. Nadia Maroney. Is that Maroney's wife? And he gave the photos. He gave her the photos, or gave her the photos to blackmail the other guy working for Falcone.
Yeah.
Maroney's son was also there. I think there could be a play. I mean, shoot, even for Vic to take out the son of Maroney. But I think the Maroneys are also going to kind of be somewhat eliminated. He can definitely use like the wife against the husband who's in jail because she's outside and can't be influenced by him while he's trapped in there, et cetera, et cetera. But there's definitely a few pawns on the table for Oz to move around. So that'll be interesting because I think they basically were like, the son's going to be watching you now, working for you as like their inside guy to secure the drops and stuff like that. So that I think will all come into play. The son will get killed somehow accidentally or whatever, you know. I think he's going to just run the same playbook. You know what I mean? Start with the son and then, you know, work his way up to the top.
Yeah, I'm curious what their play is on the whole Maroney family too, because they're a big part of the comics as well, and they're in this show. So I'm curious if he's just going to stay in prison by the end of it, because Penguin. I
was just going to say,
I'm wondering if, yeah, like because I get like it's weird that I'm thinking about it this way, but because there's Batman 2's coming, we know it leads into it, and you don't want to confuse people. Is Penguin going to have his own crime family by the end of this? Or is this just him making his play to be the kingpin of both families by the end of this series? That he has the Falcone family and the Maroney family. Like, is that the end game here? Is that he's going to trick them both and somehow get on top of both of these families?
Or is he sitting across from Kogan in a post-credit scene talking to the Joker? He's in Arkham, and Sophia got him put there. You know what I mean?
But how do you explain? Yeah, Rob?
Yeah, this is the beauty part about the show is that, you know, he could be at the top of it all. I think at the very least, by the end of the show, he's going to run the drug game and all. Like, he's all about the drops, right? He's all about dealing and all that type of stuff. I think he's going to have the market basically on that in Gotham 100%. And that's the beauty part about it is that, you know, we talk about the show and that it can become so big because he can literally be running crime basically in Gotham by the end of this, right? And it could make you think, oh, you know, Batman 2's coming, and now it almost makes you seem like you need to see this show in order to go see the Batman 2. But this is something that Marvel did so well. It's like you can literally sum up this show for somebody that has not seen it and just wants to see the Batman 2 in like a line, right? And just be like, you know, we've just have Batman's voiceover and just simply be like, oh, we've been underwater for 6 weeks or however long it's going to be. And, you know, and now Penguin runs the mob after Falcone's death, right? Simple thing can sum up the show. And then if you want to see that story that he's describing, you can. It's optional. It's not mandatory, right? But anyway, that's just.
Yeah, no, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Anything else you guys want to say about the Penguin? I just think the show is ramping up. This episode, I mean, people are watching it. This episode, again, was just part of the chess game. We're moving our pawns forward. We're two episodes into 8. Can't wait to see where it goes. You guys have anything else to say? Rob, we'll start with you.
No, I'm just I'm looking forward to the way it's going. I'm just enjoying the fact that it's like, yeah, you got 2 comic book shows running at the same time, and you got all along that though that, you know, has 25-minute episodes and stuff like that. You know, you get the meat in this Penguin show in general. And just touching on a joke that you had over there when you were talking about Todd Phillips and Penguin being a mayoral candidate and whatnot. But well, you know, he did want to eat a cat in Batman Returns, so that he already has one thing in common with a certain political aspirations president, let's say.
Scotty, anything?
Crazy. I think I think people that are here watching this have started the show, but if you haven't really just like dove into I'm all in on the Colin Farrell Penguin. I think he can do big things with that character, and it bodes really well for the second movie if he, you know, they're not killing this character off. He's going to continue on probably through to the end of the trilogy at this point. Based off just popularity alone, I would think that Matt Reeves is like, okay, maybe I'm gonna rethink some things. And they have like purposely called attention to like changing his name, doing all these permanent things with him. So I think, you know, he's here to stay, and he's doing a really good job.
Agreed. All right, let's move on to the Joker 2 Folie, the movie. The sequel to the movie we all were like, this desperately needs a sequel. Desperately needs a sequel, and it's a musical. Did a video on the leaked ending a few days ago. So this is heavy spoilers now for the Joker 2. Well, we might not go heavy on the spoilers. We're going to talk about it. But Rob, you had a chance to see the movie last night at a fan event. And I was expecting a different reaction from you based on everybody else's reaction online. Everybody is very harsh on this. When I read the ending, I said, oh, you know what? That sounds like I was like, to me, out of context, I kind of dug the ending. I was like, this sounds not bad to me. I was in the minority by a long shot on that one. Everybody wanted to hang me on the streets for that. But anyway, we won't go into
love it too.
Yeah, we won't go into the ending. We won't go into the ending right now. Well, maybe not even at all in this video. Maybe we'll touch it a little bit.
I think we've already made a video. I think that we should eventually at the end.
Yeah,
I think we dip our toes in and we kind of get people ready.
Yeah, we got to get there.
I'd like to hear it here first. I haven't watched the video or anything, so I'm excited.
So, Rob, you saw the movie fan event. Was it packed? Was it like everybody excited for Joker?
I'd say it was an IMAX theater that I went to see it in. I'd say it was about half full. Like, so it was a decent crowd, but you know, I think you could have expected a lot more in general. So there was a decent amount of people, and a lot of people's reacted to parts of it, and sometimes vocally in general. But in general, for myself, I'm sitting behind this movie and just being like, okay, this movie has very, very clear weaknesses to it. It also has very, very clear strengths to it, I find. So, which is the part that kind of throws me off a little bit, seeing all these completely and utter, like, you know, bad reactions, terrible reactions to it, saying that's a terrible movie. Because I'm like, really? Like, are these people that are a fan of the first one saying the same thing? Because there's a lot of like pretty good stuff in this movie. There's some very solid things. And I think in general, what I thought was like, it's going to matter as to what outweighs the really bad stuff or the really good stuff. Which one's going to outweigh the other? Because at the same time, like there are some big time weaknesses with this movie, like I already kind of said.
I've heard that it is very boring.
Right.
Is it very boring? Because I love boring movies. We need to get this out of the way right now. When a movie comes on and it's boring, my wife turns to me and says, "You love this movie, don't you?" And 9 times out of 10, I say, absolutely.
So for me, it was not boring. For me, I was interested in seeing where the whole thing was going considerably. I think the number one reason that people would call it boring is that the story in this movie is very, very thin. This story is very, you know, it's not more than what you think it probably is. It's literally that from point A to point B, and it doesn't have too many twists throughout as it's going. It literally feels more like an epilogue to the Joker than a whole other movie.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know where to begin with what this movie is about. Scott, you got any questions on this? Anything you want to add?
Don't like hearing any of that. Nope. Don't like that. That's what I was saying. Like right before we went live, the 2 reviews that I heard, like one super, super early review, and I had based it mainly because of the Gaga casting, was that it's going to be a musical. And I'm like, no, can't be true. Not at all. And then it's like, okay, I was coming out with a whole other album that's like supposed to be like in tow with the movie. Okay, maybe it's going to be a musical. And then as like the true reviews started to come out, it's like this whole movie takes place in the courtroom. It's literally just his court case the whole time. So I might be waiting to see this one. I don't know. Nothing is exciting me. I'll see, I guess, what the ending entails here.
Okay, Rob, you're going to have to
Elaborate.
Yeah, you're going to have to talk Scotty into wanting to see it.
So here's what I would say about it is that if you were looking to see additional resolution to what you saw in Joker that you really liked, and see more of a expulsion into what his character has become at the end of that movie, you get that in this movie. That's what you get. You get expansion as to what is going on in poor Arthur Fleck's head after all this whole thing. And that's what it is. I mean, people say that the whole movie is just basically a court case. It really is like, it takes them a good like 45 minutes to start the whole court case of it all. So I can almost think to myself, it's kind of like a movie of 2 halves a little bit. It starts off, it's just basically a prison movie at first, and then transitions into the court case of it all. So that's like where that part of it came up on us. And I think if you were deterred by the musical aspects of this and thinking that it's going to be a musical, I think if you're a musical fan, you will not like this movie because the musical elements and the songs are not good. They're not good. They're not good.
Really?
Like the songs are not gonna like the number one thing when you will see the songs performed in this movie is you will think that they're shot fantastically. They're done. They look amazing and all that stuff. But
and this is like not to interrupt you, but like just to confirm, this is like batshit Harley Quinn crazy singing to the Joker.
I actually, if I'm remembering correctly, I think actually Joker does more singing than Harley.
Okay, all right.
So, and
that's why they're bad.
Well, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix can sing as Johnny Cash. I don't think he could sing as the Joker in this movie. And just the songs in general were not all that memorable. Some of the scenes where songs were done were very memorable. There's 2 amazing scenes in the courtroom that happened in this movie to me. One of them is a song, and the other one is not. And that's where it's like, okay, those are the fantastic scenes, and they're done very, very well. The part that I think you may like as a non-musical fan is that they have a take on almost every song. It's not just literally someone standing up and spreading their arms and singing the whole way around. Sometimes it's literally just a character just standing up and just singing softly to himself with no music in the background. I
like that.
Other stuff is literally almost like a late night sketch where they're just standing there and then they're singing back and forth at each other as a part of a comedy routine almost. The way they kind of blended the style of their songs was a strength and caused me to not dislike the musical aspects of it as I thought I might.
The writing in the first one was amazing. So as long as it's got like similar tones and it sounds like, Arthur Fleck is a very intriguing character and a really good take on the Joker. So Joker is mine, probably number 2 villain, literally right behind Vader, just because Star Wars is always number 1 for me. But this take on the Joker is phenomenal. So kudos to them. Do you think they're going to get a third? Maybe we have to get more spoilery, not to jump right into it, but because I don't know how much more we can talk about, the film itself.
Let's shelve that for 1 second. We'll get to will there be a third, but can we just get into Harley Quinn for a bit? Because if we talk about a third, then like you'll know how it ends.
Yeah,
I think So Harley Quinn, Lady Gaga in this, no more Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. For like, remember that whole people were upset. Nobody went to go see the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn movie anyway, so it didn't. I don't know who was really upset. So Lady Gaga comes in. You'd think because she could sing. You're saying she doesn't get as much singing time as Joaquin Phoenix does. Talk us through who this Harley Quinn is, because she's Lee, right? She's Lee Quinzel. She's a different iteration of Harley Quinn. Talk us through it a little, walk us through it, and then tell us if you like this version at all, because they changed her quite a bit in the Cape Crusader cartoon animated show a little while ago too. So yeah, just walk us through it. Did you like this iteration of the character?
I mean, it's a completely different version of the character at the same time. Like, it's not they insinuate parts of that character that makes you think, oh, this is the same Harley Quinn. Because they mostly call her Lee Quinzel, but they do at one point establish that her name is Harley Quinzel. Okay. They do actually tell you that is her name. And even certain other aspects of the character that you think that were left out turn out being kind of true. Like they tell you that he wasn't as he didn't change the character as much as you might have thought. There's still other parts of it that make you think that she could be the Harley Quinn that to an extent. But yes, in this version of the character is a lot different. It's basically a fangirl from the very beginning. That's basically what her character is. She's a fangirl for Joker, gigantic fan of his, and goes that way with the very, toxic relationship that they more or less have in the comics and in cartoons and different things like that. So in general, if Lady Gaga was hoping that this would lead to her finally getting her Oscar, I would say she should shelve that thought. that Joaquin won an Oscar for his portrayal of Arthur Fleck / the Joker. It's like, oh, maybe I could win one for Joker Part 2. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe somehow she'll get nominated.
They are going to, I believe they are going to position her. They're going to send out for her to get the nomination. So they're going to gun for it, and I think they're also going to go for Phoenix. I heard Phoenix is great in this one, and somebody said, or a few people have said, he might get another Oscar for it. I think, for me, I haven't seen it yet, but I find it hard to believe that he'll be able to get an Oscar for the same role he played. The Academy Awards they don't really play that game, right? You're one and done, John Williams. You're no more Star Wars awards for you, buddy.
I don't think he'll get one for this one either. I think he was very, very solid in it. If you were thinking that, they clearly added a couple zeros at the end of his paycheck from the last one, the same thing with Todd Phillips. If you thought that maybe Joaquin would mail it in and mail in his performance, he did not do that. You could very much see that it's an extension of his performance from the Joker. Not as good as Joker, but it's an extension of it. He brought it when he needed to in this movie.
That's good to know. Because he really, as good as the first movie is, he makes that movie. I think for me personally, maybe you guys disagree, but for me personally, what makes the first Joker movie so phenomenal is Joaquin Phoenix's performance and the cinematography. I think that movie, I've talked to you, Rob, you disagree, but I think that should have won cinematography at the Academy Awards that year. I thought it was phenomenal. I think it's the best looking movie.
I can't remember who lost.
1917, the gimmick of one take. One take. Okay. Give me a break. I think it's brilliant. Lawrence Sher is underrated cinematographer. I mean, he did do Godzilla, Gods and Monsters. We'll get and Black Adam. We'll cut him some slack there, but I think it's just a phenomenal looking movie. When I saw the trailer for the second one when it first dropped, I was like, man, these movies look great. Keep making them. But Scotty, you're a big fan. What do you think of this new Harley Quinn, Lee Quinzel?
I don't know, man. From what I've seen in the trailers, I feel like it'll be a good take. I've enjoyed Lady Gaga in her other acting, and I feel like she's got the range to pull it off. I'm just, worried about previous reasons, as stated, some of the music, and hopefully it doesn't take me too much out of the story, but really enjoyed the first movie. I don't know. Time will tell. I'm excited though to see those two on screen. I feel like she also plays really well off of like the other male leads. Like she's able to kind of adapt to pretty much anybody's acting style, and I am interested to see how good she can align her Joker persona to his and how they play off of each other. Because we know how Lady Gaga kind of is when she acts. She kind of is herself in a lot of the stuff that she does, I feel like, but not to take anything away from her.
Rob, anything you want to add to what he just said? Because you could comment right on. Does it work? Does she play up to him? You said that you don't think she's going to win
crazy
an Oscar.
Harley.
I think
why
she. Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Okay, no, I thought that when she really needed to bring it in this movie, she did. For a couple of very big scenes, she was huge in it. But it really did kind of feel like to me that when Joker was being crazy and when Joaquin Phoenix was being crazy as the Joker, she kind of felt like, as to matching the Joker's energy and matching Joker's crazy, it felt like she was just kind of latching her wagon to him and letting him pull her a little bit. Like, that's where it's like where she could have been completely fabulous and just fell into this character like she did with Gucci, the House of Gucci character, where she was like, oh, I'm her for the next 4 months. I didn't feel like that happened here.
Really?
As much.
Now, isn't Harley Quinn also supposed to kind of be the, pulling at the coattails, like being hypnotized by his presence and that kind of thing too? So
sure,
maybe
but
there's a little bit of that. I don't know.
But I feel like when they've done her in the comics, or more specifically in the cartoons, because that's where you can really get the energy of it all. You get the Mark Hamill Joker energy coming from her, and then when you get Tara Strong's, or Arlene Sorkin's Brooklyn accent coming over there, you get the matching energy a little bit, but different energy, right? Like,
did they try to do any of that? Because you know how they always try to pay homage to like maybe previous, maybe a Mark Hamill type of thing with the Joker, but did they do any of that? Did she give a little like New York anything in there?
If she did it very subtly, so much I didn't even notice. I didn't get anything.
Gotcha.
So this movie takes place in New Jersey, right? Gotham City's or New York. Gotham City's in New York in this.
Is that true? I couldn't.
I heard that it was confirmed that they actually said that it's in. Just going by what I heard.
I might have missed it then. Yeah.
Maybe you should go back and watch the movie, Rob. Maybe that's why you liked it so much and everybody else hates it. Maybe.
Well, I'm just saying.
In the first one.
You were just watching part one.
Yeah. I was not getting any New York. If there may have been some. I remembered what's his name? Shea Wingham in the first one. He had a little New York accent to him, right? A little bit. He was playing one of the cops. Yep. But not nearly as much as you would think if this Gotham is supposed to be New York.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. In general, for me, I liked the movie. I think that there was a lot of really, really good parts about it. I would never say that this movie was a waste of my time in any type of way. I just think that this might have been better served as a 45-minute TV movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think Joaquin Phoenix signed on to it though?
The money. That's what I think it was. I think they added a couple extra zeros to both him and Todd Phillips' paycheck, and that's what resulted in it. I mean,
Todd Phillips is a. Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
I say Todd Phillips is a funny director. If you look at his filmography, he does Road Trip, great movie. Then he did something else, not so great. Then he did Old School, great movie. Then he did the one with Napoleon Dynamite and Billy Bob Thornton, not so great. Yep. Then he did, and it's like every other movie he does is not so great. The first movie, you're like, man, Todd Phillips is great. And then the next time he shows up, you're like, what happened to Todd Phillips? But then he comes back again, you're like, whoa, he's the best. Except for like Hangover, I guess he was three punch where the third one wasn't so. But he's a funny director like that, where it's like every other movie you can bank on it being a decent movie, then you get to a point. But I'm still excited. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing this movie, even when people were like, "I hate it." And when I read that people who liked the first movie said that they thought it was really boring, I was like, "This is what I'm here for. Let's go." Let's go with the boring. The singing is disappointing me, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big musical guy, but I thought Lady Gaga. The soundtrack is gonna be released on vinyl on Friday. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot of fun with the music. And you're telling me it's not. And it's funny too that you're like he carries most of the songs, because Scotty and I mentioned this last week, because Scotty's a massive Lady Gaga fan. He's like, she released an album last Friday called Harley Quinn, and it has all these songs, and my wife listened to it, and it's not terrible. Like, but it's because she loved playing the characters so much. Yeah. She made this album, and maybe because she was like, I didn't get to sing as much as I wanted, so I'm going to sing some songs. So that surprises me more than anything else, more than it being boring to people, more than the ending that we'll talk about in a minute, more than anything, is that Lady Gaga has less singing than Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Like, when she does sing, she does bring the Lady Gaga, right? Like, she brings that Lady Gaga energy. She brings her amazing singing voice and whatnot. But it's just like, if I'm guessing off the top of my head, I think that there's probably about 12 songs in the movie or so.
Dang.
And a
lot though.
Yeah. And if I was to guess, but I'm also including scenes where it's just a person standing up.
Yes,
and
you're right,
singing,
in the mirror
and singing for 45 seconds. Singing for 45 seconds, right? Okay. And that's what I'm also including. So, and if I'm guessing, I think Joaquin probably has about 5 solo songs himself, and then there's about 3 or 4 Harley and Joker songs, and then I would say that there's whatever that would be two. I think there's only about 2 Harley solo songs.
The first movie, when you leave it, you're like, was that all in his head? What was real? What wasn't real? Does this movie guide you in any direction, one way or another, that he really is who we are watching, or is this just a manifestation of his thoughts?
Oh, there's a lot of manifestation of thoughts, 100%. And sometimes that's some of the best scenes in the movie. Like the stuff that's not really happening, that he's just imagining could happen right now. And there's a lot of things like that, and there's certain scenes that also make you think, oh, maybe he did imagine that as well. Like there's a little bit more. I would say that there's a little bit more gray area as to what was real and what's not real in this movie as well.
Didn't the first movie end where he was like in a white room with a straitjacket?
Yeah, I think towards the end you see him like that. Yeah.
So does it pick up where like he was arrested and he is in a straitjacket, or like where
it takes place? It takes place 2 years after. So it's
2 years.
Yeah, yeah. This movie takes place 2 years after the first one. Yeah.
Okay.
He's basically awaiting trial for what he's done, basically, to an extent. And Catherine Keener's his lawyer. So there you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the movie. And even Brendan Gleeson has a really good part in the movie too. I actually like this little section in the movie.
Is he only in it a little bit?
No, he's in a fair bit of it. It's just, yeah, like they keep coming back to him and whatnot. No, he's a very fairly prominent character. He's probably in the movie about the same amount as Robert De Niro, was in the first one.
Does he serve a purpose, or is he just there for the paycheck?
He's good in the movie. He has he's good in the movie. Do you guys want to know what a role he plays? He's basically he's a guard. He's a guard at Arkham.
Yeah.
So yeah, and is
there like you're saying it like we should know what guard he is? Is there a known guard that we should know? No, I'm just being a little vague in terms of whether you guys want to know or not. But basically, when I broke down the movie and I said the first 40 minutes is basically in Arkham, and then the rest of it is basically the court case. There's less of Brendan Gleeson later in the movie. So he's the top half of the movie.
Yeah, he's a main character in the first 40 minutes of the movie, and then he just comes back and forth in the last hour and a half or so.
And the last hour and a half is when things take a turn and people go ballistic with it. But I do want to see one thing right now before we move on to the ending that Scotty cannot wait to hear to see if he's going to shell out $15 or whatever it costs to go see a movie. I am looking at the album on Amazon right now.
How many songs? Was that right?
See.
Is it 12?
It's not telling me. It is not telling me how many songs. It's just like, you want to buy this? It's $53 for the record and $24 for a CD. $24 for a CD? Come on. Come on, man. Come on. Damn. Comes out Friday. If you want to spend this much money on,
they want to recoup some of the money that they're not going to be making from box office, I guess.
I guess you're thinking this movie's not going to make anywhere near $1 billion like the first one did.
No. I think it's possible that this movie makes $600 to $700 million. It really depends on how the general public reacts to it when they go to see it this weekend. That it really depends on. But if I'm ballparking right now, I could see it making $600 or $700 million.
We got this comment here. The Muffin Project, Muffin Project, the MFN. I think I know what it is. I think we're over with this one. I'm not gonna lie, really not looking forward to seeing this movie. And I want to know, let me know in the chat, but like, is that because of the musical aspect to it? And Rob, you said that's probably going to be the part that musical fans aren't going to like it. But you never said, are people who don't like musicals, how are they going to feel about it? Because it's mostly like known songs, right? There's no original songs in this. It's all
there may be some original songs. Actually, I'm not 100% sure, because a lot of the songs, let's just say, I didn't recognize. It started off with very notable songs like at the beginning, and then kind of felt like it could have been it could have wrote its own music. That's what I'm not 100% sure about. But
I would love to tell you if you're right or wrong, but I can't because they're not telling me the track listing.
Right. Yeah, I think the most sad part about this movie was I was afraid about the musical aspects, but those didn't wind up bothering me as much. It's just the fact that I don't think all the musical numbers were always warranted, which is kind of what I felt like with a lot of the movie. Like, me saying that I think this movie could have been done in 40 minutes is a little sad, because I'm just like, it really just feels like they wrote enough story to do the 2 hour, to do a 45-minute special, and then just filled everything else up with musical numbers and other things.
And that's why everyone is like, this is a musical, because it feels like it was overwhelmingly just music.
Yeah. Like it takes you a little while. Like, it's not gonna, the movie does start off very, very interestingly. That's what I'll tell you guys right now. It doesn't start off with a musical number, but it starts off with something else. And that part was kind of interesting and kind of cool with the way that the movie starts. But and then it takes a while to build up to the first song. Like, I don't think you get the first song until at least 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, then it sounds like it's more
Hugo
just like psychological.
It's because what's our?
Sorry, Scotty, go on.
I was like, and it sounds like it's because it's just more of like a lot of stuff going on in his head, and it's like the music is really, they're having normal conversations in front of people, but he's just like singing.
Well, yeah, and as you would guess from the trailers themselves, they basically kind of set up that, music
they over
is the way.
dramatize.
Well, but in the trailer, I believe there's a line somewhere along the lines. It's like music can bring up, all the thoughts that you have in your head and bring them out of you, right? And as soon as they start getting to that point and bringing that point up, that's when the music starts kind of kicking in.
Okay. So we have the Muffin Project. I love musicals. I grew up with Wonka, Lion King, Rocky Horror, but I don't know. It's just not capturing my attention.
And I don't think it will.
So yeah, you like the movie, and you're saying probably not for you.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
also you're talking to somebody that's not a musical fan. I'm not. Musicals don't bring me out to go see a movie. I will see a movie that's a musical, but I'm far from a musical fan.
What's your favorite musical?
If I'm picking a musical, oh boy, that's how difficult it is. If Wonka counts, I'll count Willy Wonka. I'll say Willy Wonka, Chocolate Factory. If that counts, then I'll say that.
Yeah, why not? We can make anything count. Scotty, you're a big
Yeah.
musical fan. You watched Les Miserables on repeat.
No, I get into the weird ones. I was gonna say Sweeney Todd. That's a
Sweeney
musical,
Todd. I
right?
knew you were gonna go with Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
I saw Sweeney Todd in the movie.
I'm a
in the
horror
theater.
guy too, so
Yeah, I saw Sweeney Todd in the theater, and my friend was next to me, and he goes, "This is a musical," and he just let out the loudest f-bomb you have ever heard in a movie
That's
theater.
so
And I was
funny.
like, "Well, this is gonna be a long time.
It's gonna be a long movie sitting next to him.
I'm
But
gonna
also,
I'm still gonna see it, but I'm gonna be plastered. That might help me get through the musical."
we also
Sweeney
listen to
Todd,
the
yeah.
Hamilton
Yeah?
soundtrack
Yeah.
like once a month in my house. So
Really?
yeah,
Do
we're
you have
big
it on
fans.
Disney Plus playing the special edition?
Yeah, the kids watch it too, which I think is cool
Yeah.
because it's
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
history and yeah.
Hollywood
Yeah.
used to be all about musicals. I don't know if you guys remember, but that job. I'm really curious how they play that into, like, Rob, you kind of mentioned it, but like just to see the cues, and I think from the trailers it looks phenomenal when it goes like that. So we can move along the lines as you're going. Let's go back. Frozen
Hollywood's
is
just
on
trying to
repeat,
ruin
so-
my childhood.
We got Frozen in my house too with my daughter. And Frozen and
Yeah.
you know what's the other one? There's another one. I can't remember what it is where it comes on and she loves it. It's like, oh my god, this one.
Mhm.
Oh, not the movie, just the music.
I realized
Super
that they
Alexa.
mentioned Lion King there too, so I guess Lion King go up there too.
Mm.
But I don't really count animated musicals in the same way because those are just
Mhm.
ones that I kind of grew
And
up
they're
on.
great.
Whether it's Aladdin and Lion King, and yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they're
Those are
always
classics, too.
they're always awesome. I'm curious to see this. I'm not gonna lie, I was interested in getting the vinyl record for this movie, but now you've talked me out of it. So
I don't
Frick.
think you should.
Is Tenacious D
no.
No.
Yes, that's a
is
musical.
Tenacious D Pick of Destiny a musical? Because I'm voting for
Yes.
that one now instead.
Absolutely, it's a musical. Phenomenal music. Underrated. I saw Tenacious D live in concert
Oh
like
man.
15 years ago, dude. It was
Before they got canceled. That's awesome.
yeah, it was the best concert because it was like a Broadway show, but hilarious, like start to finish. You just couldn't stop laughing. Okay,
Thank
yeah, pick a D, damn right. So Rob, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
So that the MFN project, we won't go into it. Wants to know how's Gaga's portrayal of Harley. Go a little bit deeper into it because it's not traditional Harley Quinn. You said.
Yeah. So really, if I'm breaking down the character, basically what it is she is a what it appears to be a patient as well in Arkham in general. She's in the music class of it all. And that's how they kind of get introduced to each other and in a certain way and starts forming their bond to an extent. In general, I kind of thought, as I said earlier, Gaga was good. She wasn't great. And I think that mostly felt like she might have, like I said, been riding on the coattails of the craziness that was Joker. She didn't seem like she played up to the Joker with his craziness and his outwardness. Her biggest scene, and you know what, if I can, I will talk about one of these scenes that I think is a complete and utter highlight of the movie. It's one where Joker
spoilers for this scene.
Spoilers for this scene. It's where Arthur
Just
shows
like
up.
anybody
At
that
one
might
point.
just be. Yeah, sorry.
It's when Arthur shows up in the courtroom on one of the days, and he starts dancing and singing, and this is the part where it's fake in the movie. And Harley starts playing up to him, and they're both kind of going around. And as you know, Harvey Dent's in the movie. He's the prosecuting lawyer, and they just grab a mallet, bash his brains in, go basically across the movie, and it's they're singing, and it's the most extravagant that you get the two characters, but it's also her at the same time just watching him be Joker. And it's one of the most parts, like the definite highlights of the movie. I'm not going to go everywhere because I could say more, but I don't want to spoil the whole thing for you guys. I just give you a little bit of it. But yeah, that was a part where it literally felt like that, and a couple other of the songs in the musical, like fake numbers, that you felt like Joker and Harley were there together. But in general, there you go. Well, I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad I could pull you guys into it at least a little bit. It's there's some good musical aspects of it. It's just few and far between a little bit. And but there were times where I felt like she could have established her own Harley Quinn definitively, and I didn't really feel like she did that as much as she could have.
Like what was she lacking? Just because you keep saying like what. Can you pinpoint exactly what it is and just really like?
Well, I'll say that I'll say this about it is that I think a very interesting aspect to the character and the way the character sounds is that Arlene Sorkin Brooklyn accent, right? Like just hey, Mr. J and whatnot, right? It brings her own charisma. Like that's a big part of Harley Quinn's charisma, I think. It just speaking the way that she does. And acting the way that she does. Yes, Lady Gaga seemed crazy, but more like, true romance crazy than Harley Quinn crazy, if I can explain that way. I think you're muted there, Scotty.
I'm saying dial it up a notch, Lady Gaga. Don't be afraid to overshadow the Joker in some of these scenes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know. I like my Lady Gaga absolutely insane, or I like my Harley Quinn absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that was a directing choice, if they were like keep it low because we don't want to, because this Joker, like all in all, isn't as over the top as the animated series, let's say, right? They were like tone it in just a little bit and you'll win your Oscar. I wonder if that was the direction that she was given, right? Like reel it in a little, so it's because it is a more realistic version of these characters, I suppose you could say to that.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Harvey Dent's in this movie as well, but you wouldn't get he doesn't get a ton of screen time. He's in it a fair amount, but you don't get a definitive Harvey Dent. I think he's just there for the name, and that's about it. And Todd Phillips wanted to just make his own version of Harvey Dent in this movie, and that was about it.
Yeah, well, maybe it was they needed a lawyer, and someone said, "Why don't you use this guy?"
I think that's really what it was. Yeah.
Does Lee Quinzel fall in love with Harvey Dent, and that's where the third movie's gonna go? Let's guide ourselves towards the finale now. So if you don't want to know how this movie's going to end, I would bid you adieu now, I suppose. Say farewell, because we will talk a little about the ending. I did a leaked video on it a couple days ago when it leaked online and talked a little spoilery about it. Will there be a third? We're going to get to that right now. So Rob, before we mention the ending, before we go into details on the ending, will there be a third movie?
No, there will not.
Third. Oh, okay.
Scotty's done. That's not the answer I wanted. No, there will not.
No, there will not be a third movie because Arthur Fleck dies at the end of the movie. He's gone.
Scotty just went pale and white. He's just like, oh. So the reason why I did the video was I saw.
So Harley Quinn is the Joker now.
Not even that.
We'll get into that in a second. The reason why I did that video was because I saw an article and it said it leaked, and I go, whatever. But then I saw another one and it was the same thing, and I was like, this is getting out of hand. Then I saw something else, and I was like, I got to trace this back, and I started tracing it back, and I was like, this seems like it might be legit, and actual like outlets with some that are a little reputable, like not like Hollywood Reporter and Variety, but like I was like, oh, they're talking about this, like this might be real. So I did this video on it, and Rob and somebody commented it's not real, and I was like, whatever, and I went along with them. I didn't believe them because everybody else who saw it was kind of trickling in. And Rob, you confirmed to me before we started that it is actually the true ending of it, which we got to get into it a little bit. So I want to bring this up, and you can either answer now or answer it after you talk about it. But Does it ruin the first movie in your opinion? So tell us what happens, and then tell us in your opinion if it ruins the first movie or the legacy of Arthur Fleck.
So without going too far with how the third act basically goes together, basically what happens is that to an extent, Harley and Joker essentially break up. They break up, and it's basically done to an extent that it's like, oh, I don't love you anymore. And this is it, right? And it ends with a scene in Arkham where basically to an extent, Arthur's supposed to find out what the results were in his trial. And as he's heading over there to do that, that's when it was literally almost exactly the same as your what you read there, James. I didn't read the article myself, but it was basically a character who was basically a big fan of Joker throughout the movie, and he's an inmate at Arkham. He basically kind of says a joke to him, and just before he says the punchline, he takes out a knife and stabs him and kills Arthur Fleck. They're in the prison before he can find out whether he was thought to be innocent or guilty and whatnot to an extent. And
so I didn't know that part. I didn't know that part. That part wasn't in what I read, unless I just skipped it because the articles were long. But no, that part wasn't in there. So that's curious to me because that might upset people if you never find out the answer. Okay, that changes things up a little bit.
Well, I think without revealing too much, I think you know what the answer would have been if you had been watching the previous Arthur movie, which I'm not going to go into. I want some stuff that for you guys to experience yourselves. It would. I think you get
Scotty and I are meeting at Niagara Falls to watch this together.
There you go. And just what was the other part of the question that you mentioned there?
Did it ruin the first movie?
Did I ruin the first movie? No. So this is where it is. I mean, a lot of people seem to have wanted this version of Joker to cross over with either Pattinson's Batman or just with a Batman in general. I always just thought about this movie and the first movie as just a pocket universe. Mm-hmm. I've never thought that this version of Joker would really go up against Batman. And this is part of my own mentality of what Batman's timeline is like. I think Batman's timeline is like very similar to Batman Begins. And as we know what happens in Batman Begins, he comes back and he's 30. He's 30 when he becomes Batman, essentially. That's his 30th birthday and so forth. And so what I think about that is that basically from the time Batman's parents are killed and when he actually falls and becomes Batman, you're talking about almost 20 years, basically, right? And just to think about, this version of Batman beating up on a 70-year-old Joaquin Phoenix, that's where I'm just like, okay, like that's something that I don't really want to see, and I don't think should happen. I think what they tell you in this movie, just basically allows you to think that there could be another Joker somewhere, right? Like, that's essentially what we got in the first movie, right? Oh, he basically creates a gigantic gang by the end of the first movie of all potential Jokers. You could literally say that Heath Ledger's Joker could have been in there somewhere, right? And that he could have been in. But I never personally thought that Arthur Fleck Joker would ever go head-to-head with Batman. That timeline never worked for me because I thought it was always just very odd, like I said, Batman beating on a 70-year-old Joker. That always seemed a little odd to me. So I like the ending. I have no problems with the ending. I think it's a pretty good way to end the whole thing, and just really put a nail in the coffin for Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix. That it's like, hey, you brought us back to do the second one. You gave us a lot more money to do this second one, but this is it. This is like Harrison Ford coming back to play Han Solo. Sure, I'll come back to play Han Solo again, but you got to kill me. And that's basically what it kind of felt like to me a little bit. And it's like, okay, they came back to it, but there will not be a third movie. Arthur Fleck is dead.
Yeah, I had a similar opinion with this in terms of Batman. I like the idea of the MFN project just said, and James Gunn said this in his announcement last year for taking over DC Studios, is that this is Elseworlds, right? These are Elseworlds projects. I don't even know if Gunn was produced. Like I don't know if his name is attached to this or not, or if it was a completely separate. Yeah,
I didn't recall seeing James Gunn's name on it.
I think he's now. I think his name is now on the Batman stuff, but I think the Joker is completely Elseworld entirely. Right. But anyway, I always thought of it like that. But I like the idea in my own headcanon that this led up to like the Pattinson Batman, let's say. But Arthur Fleck isn't the Joker in that because there's 20, 30 years gap between those. That this Joker, there's other Jokers, like you said, that kind of take up the mantle. Like, you know what? Remember that crazy guy in 1981 or whatever? Like, I'm going to mimic it. And you become that. And obviously, you know, you get the Joker in the Reeves verse. And I'm not complaining about it at all. But that was where my head was at. This is a completely separate thing anyway. So I never really connected them or needed them to be connected in that respect.
And that could work too, because you literally got to start off with the gang at the beginning, right? With the guy that has only half of his face. And that could be, to an extent, you know, 15 years later, remnants of that Joker gang, right? That's in Joker 1 and Joker 2, right? Like that would be that they could still connect it in that way a little bit if they would wanted to.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either,
I think though, if unless they definitively say in the Batman 2 that that's not the case, we can always just put our headcanon together and make it make sense in that respect. Kind of like, look, man, when you watch the MCU now, you could be like, well, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's canon and all this stuff because it happens in a different Earth. So you can pretend what you want. Scotty, any thoughts?
I don't know. It sounds like it's going to put a nice little wrap up on the Arthur Fleck of it all. I like that it, you know, the Joker is always a very mysterious character. We don't ever know his like real full name. So the fact that he isn't living through this and that, you know, the Joker has already been like the idea of the Joker is already instilled within Gotham now and will forever be there. And this kind of is I think a really nice origin of how that could have happened overall.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm looking forward to see it. Has this made you want to see it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of trolling a little bit. I'm definitely gonna wait to see it, but I am in love with this take on the Joker. There are a lot of things that I think won't make me enjoy it as much as the first one. But again, the first one being how different this take was on it was what I loved so much about it. So I have faith in the writing, and I don't know. I'm still kind of like anxiously curious, I guess, about how I'll feel after seeing the whole thing.
Actually, be cool if Mark Hamill had a cameo in this movie, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's not retired from the Joker, right? Oh, Rob's coming in with a spoiler.
No, I'm not coming in for a spoiler.
He's the real Joker in the movie.
If you do, if the MFN project wants to see Mark Hamill Joker live, technically you can at the beginning of the show Birds of Prey. He does play the Joker live action at the beginning of Birds of Prey. It's a terrible show, but you can technically see him live.
Interesting. All right,
yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah,
good to know. So Joker 2, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. Not buying the vinyl soundtrack though, because Rob, I guess, works for a competing company. He doesn't want me to spend my money on that. You save me. I wouldn't spend $53 on it. I wouldn't spend $53 on it. I'll tell you that. Although I should also let everybody know that these are Canadian prices, so it's probably like $1.50 in the States. So Scotty, when we meet at the border, if you can bring me the vinyl.
Yep. I don't know. US dollar is not doing so hot, man. So I don't know.
Yeah, but Canadian dollar doesn't even. It's in a tank. But you guys we're watching Penguin, and I'm like, and he puts on and Penguin puts on a record for his mom. I'm like, why do they always have records? Like, look, I have 3 record players and I listen to them all the time, but like people don't do that anymore. And on TV, it's always like the record player, even Peacemaker, the record player comes on. I'm like, is this a common thing? Like, what? I know the visual's nice, but
it's retro.
Put on
man.
your put on your Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it is. I know it's retro. It looks a lot better than just doing this.
I mean, even DJs use digital vinyl. It's like, all electric songs, but a fake vinyl that they scratch.
It doesn't have the vinyl sound. I make that argument at Christmas time. I love Christmas songs on vinyl with the crackling, popping sound. People are like, well, it doesn't sound as crisp. I'm like, that's what makes me go back to my childhood when it was freaking, snow falling and things like that. All right, let's wrap this up. Scotty, anything else you want to say to Rob? Ask Rob, talk to Rob about Joker 2. Anybody in the chat have anything? Well, there's only MFN projects in the chat. Talking. Everybody else have anything you want to hear? Yes. Some Motown on the vinyl would be great.
I mean, hopefully as more people see it, the hatred just grows and grows and grows, because I do feel like Jared Leto,
oh
there's
man,
a little bit of maybe tying with this Joker. Maybe you compile that with all of the like weird Joaquin Phoenix walking off projects 2 weeks beforehand. So who knows? Anything's possible. Justice for Jared Leto, and that's all I'll say.
When the negative reviews were coming out, I was like, I wonder if this is because these people don't like Joaquin Phoenix for walking off of that movie. Like, I'm wondering if that was.
I think there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's the one part that I don't understand is that so many people are just like saying this movie's the worst movie ever. Oh, one of the worst movies of the year. I'm just like, how many movies have you seen this year? Have you seen Rebel Moon 2? I'm like, have you seen Madam Web? I'm just like, this movie's much better than any of those movies. Trap, I think because Trap, James, but yeah.
No, you know what? I was enjoying Trap. It went off the rails at the end, but I just think Skywalker's. I'm still present. I got asked to this by a work fan. No, I like Trap. I thought it went off the rails, though. I didn't love it or anything. Jared Leto Skeletor coming soon is so true. Jared Leto is one of 4 actors left in Hollywood. I think just the first Joker's like a movie like Avatar and The Force Awakens, where when it came out, people were obsessed with it. And then afterwards, people were like, I don't like that movie. And then you look at Avatar 2, and it made over $1 billion. So the hatred for that movie kind of went away very quickly and silently. So I don't know. I don't think this one is Avatar. I'm not saying that. But the first movie does feel like it was one that made $1 billion. People loved it. They went to it. And as time went on, they're like, you know what? No, it's overrated. I don't like it that much. Because I think it was like a quiet little niche movie that we thought was a niche movie, but it turns out everybody liked it. So it's not cool to like Joker 1 anymore. So we all pretend that we don't. But again, I'm really looking forward to seeing how different this one is, because, when I watched the first one, I was like, I don't need the sequel, because it just feels like it's going to be redundant. But I like the musical aspect, even though it's the weak part of the movie, according to Rob. It should have been 40 minutes. I'm very curious to see it. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it? I
think I'm sitting at about a 6. I'm like, I like the movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sitting at about 6 out of 10. I'm like, I like the movie. I wish it was much better than it was, but it's still a good movie. It's just a significant step down from the first movie.
All right. Scotty, what would you give it?
Based off of his assessments, I'm going to go with about a 6.9 for no particular reason.
That's fair.
Sure. And, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how boring is it?
How boring? Like I said, I didn't find it boring. I found myself continually interested in where a lot of aspects of the movie were going to go.
The more boring you say it is, the higher my grade's going to go. Just so you know.
Extremely boring. Extremely boring.
It's a 10. We're going to do, I think, next Tuesday, if we get a chance to. I don't know if anybody wants to come on the show, but I'm going to this full spoiler discussion on Joker 2 with me having maybe we won't. We just did it today, so it's kind of that is redundant, but we'll do it as a musical. Next week, we'll do the Super Tuesday as a musical. Rob, tell everybody about your letterbox, where they can find you, and what movie you're going to go see next.
As the musical aspect for me, no, I think even Joaquin sung better than me in this movie than I would on doing that. But in general, we got Letterbox. I don't know what's coming up next. I might finally see Beetlejuice. I still yet to see that movie.
It's coming out on digital next week.
Next week? Okay, there you go. So maybe I'll just wait.
On digital, yeah.
Tuesday on digital. And I also hear the Wild Robot's pretty good.
I hear that one's great.
Yeah. And in general, when it comes to the little mini events, this is only really for the local people, but we are doing this cool thing locally on October 30th called Loomis Night. And Loomis Night, what basically is we're watching Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 all dressed as Sam Loomis, Donald Pleasant's character, in Halloween,
Well,
and we're doing it
who's
for
doing
charity.
this?
Actually, who's Loomis? What's that?
No, who's doing this?
Oh, so some buddies of mine, they run a wrestling podcast. They're called Poison Raw. They're setting the whole thing up. If you are local in the area, you can go to their Twitter. You can buy a ticket for it. It involves a ticket to watch both movies, and then you also get a free beer when you go there. It's happening at Gabby's downtown in Toronto. So yeah, we're doing this whole thing, and proceeds
Wicked.
for the whole thing are going to charity. I believe it's for sick kids. So
Awesome.
yeah, I will
That is
be
a
there,
wicked
and you'll see me dressed up as Sam Loomis from Halloween.
I want to see all those pictures. And Scotty, you're going live right now, so you got to go. You're going live.
Yeah,
right
hey,
now.
no rush ever.
Get out of here.
Yeah, no, we do some variety gaming over on my channel, and tonight I'm playing a brand new game that dropped today. It's been in early access, super popular in Korea, so that usually doesn't play too well with American gamers. We're very stubborn and picky, I would say. But it's called Throne and Liberty. I guess the way I could describe it is it's like a World of Warcraft or New World, which was the Amazon MMO. So just another free-to-play MMO I'm going to dip my toe into. And yeah, we're doing that tonight until about midnight Eastern. Until
midnight. That is a time and a half. All right.
Nice.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe. Whoever's still sticking around. Hulk smashed the like button. There's a poll up. Let's look at the results of the poll. 87% yes, 13% no, but I will. All right, time's up. It's 15 votes. How many likes do we have? 4? That can't be right.
No, refresh that, baby. 15.
I gotta refresh that. It better be 15 or you're all liars. Here we go.
We're all fired.
Wait, no, it can't be 15. Because he said they're going to later. Okay, my computer's frozen. So
and he broke it.
And it's riveting television right here on the YouTubes. As it unfreezes, Scotty's got to go, but I'm going to make him wait to find out if he Hulk smashed that like button. All right, everybody. This is taking way too long.
You know I did. Yeah. It wasn't me, chat.
There we go. 15 on the dot. Look at that. There we go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. It's a lot of fun talking Super Tuesday, but all the comic book nerdy stuff we can. Joker 2 in theaters Friday, and the record is $53 Canadian. Rob, Christmas is coming. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. And whatever. Hold on. Let me put this up. I made this. I didn't make it, but I saved it. All right. May you be the master of your own universe.